on Monday Night Football, NFL Live here. Tua Tagovailoa has been on the IR since suffering a concussion on September 12th. So, head coach Mike McDaniel had more on Tua's status today. Listen to this from the head coach.
There's still information that he's seeking this week, and as far as timelines go, I know he's not playing this week. And I do expect to see him playing football in 2024, but where that is exactly, we'll let the process continue.
All right, so let's bring Adam Schefter back in here for a little bit more. Adam, what can you add on Tua's return?
Well, Laura, the big news today was Mike McDaniel there publicly acknowledging for the first time that any Dolphins official has done this publicly, that Tua Tagovailoa does expect to play again this season. Now, that had been the conversation behind the scenes, that Tua Tagovailoa did intend to keep playing. He's been visiting neurologists. He's been to Pittsburgh. He's consulted with doctors, and he believes he is okay to continue an NFL career that many people were calling for him to walk away from. They wanted him to retire, but that's not the way that he has thought. This is the last week that he will be on injured reserve. He is eligible to be activated after the Dolphins' next game in Indianapolis against the Colts. He could play as soon as week 8. And again, he wants to get back out there. My sense is Tua will be back on the field sooner rather than later.
Yeah, Adam, it doesn't come as a surprise to me. Dan and I were there for the Dolphins game against the Titans, and they told us he's been around the facility ever since the concussion. He's been there. He's been himself. He's been smiling. But yet there's so much to this, right, RC? When you see Tua, it sounds like get back out on the field. Yeah. What will you be thinking?
Well, I think the first thing is I always expected him to play. Always expected him to want to play. And still, I and every Miami Dolphins fan and all of his teammates and all of the people watching that love him will hold their breaths every time that he takes a hit, every time that he decides that he's going to run the football, because we've seen some of the more horrific sort of post-concussion signs from Tua Tagovailoa during those incidents. And I also look at this team, and I don't know how you get that bad when you lose your quarterback. Sure. How there's that much of a drop-off. I remember in 2007, Tom Brady, who was the 2008 Tom Brady, who was coming off of an MVP season where he threw 50 touchdowns, gets hurt in game 1, and they go 11-5 with Matt Castle. And the drop-off of this team, I think, pushes to show the value and the worth of Tua and makes him want to come back. But how do you protect a man that now means that much to your organization from himself on the football field? That's very difficult.
Yeah, that's a great point, RC. The thing that I think about is the conversation always has to have context. Nobody's shocked that Tua is coming back. You look a couple weeks ago when he had the damn headphones on and the clipboard, you knew he was coming back and super engaged with the football team. The conversation revolves around 4 concussions in 2 years. That's the issue. It's not about if he was going to come back and people making suggestions that he should retire. I didn't hear anybody say that. It was 4 of them in 2 years. And to your point, what's going to happen the next time one happens? And then a time after that. Those are the things now, career-wise, for Tua that everybody is going to have to brace for, because you can't avoid them. Yeah. Like, people love jiu-jitsu, and football is football. You're not going to avoid them when they come to fruition. It's just, how do you handle the 5th one, possibly the 6th one? And all of this is potential. But all of his history tells us that this is something that has been a reoccurring theme in his career. Hopefully he can get over it, but I think the conversation is going to be a part of Tua's career from now until he decides to leave the game.
Every time he gets hit, we're going to think
100%. 100%.
Yeah,
nervous.
I feel like 2 things can be true. We can all agree that it's his decision. He has the information. He's entitled to do that. And we can also be incredibly uncomfortable watching him play football from this point on. I go back to the way he was hit this last time. He was diving for a 4th down in a key situation. That is going to happen again.
Yeah,
that is playing football. And I'll just admit, I'm really dreading watching that.
Yeah, I think your point is fair. No question about it. That's who Tua is. He's an ultimate competitor. I think there's a significant feel of being there with my teammates that he desires, and that's when he's at his best. Bringing it to the football field, they're 2-3. They play Indy after their bye. Can they get the 3-3? Because the back half of their schedule is absolutely awful. It is challenging team but after Buffalo, they play Arizona. After Indy, they play Arizona, Buffalo, we're going to see it tonight, the Rams, the Raiders, and New England.
They can. If Tua is close to what Tua was before the injury, they can beat all of those teams.
Correct. And so I think there's a part of this. I mean, you guys know this. We play the game to win. We play the game to compete, to 100%. Win, to make money, right? And so if they can get to 3-3 and beat Indy without Tua, and then they go on that 5-game stretch, the whole conversation, the narrative about him and their team is completely different over the course of a month.
Right, but that Mina said, like, that was football. What we saw with Tua Tagovailoa, we didn't see that one time in 2023.
Correct.
Right? But if they want to win a championship, if he wants to win a championship, he's going to have to make one of those plays at some point.
And he's gonna, right?
Are you comfortable if he doesn't, though? If you're a team, if you're a coach, if you're an owner, if you're Chris Greer, are you comfortable saying, if you have to make a play that wins a game for us, but you have to put your body in harm's way, don't do it?
Yeah.
And then the interesting thing is, would he be able to just take him out of those moments, like himself out of those moments? That's not who he is.
You know, like different players, but if someone said, RC, you can't go take someone, right? You're going to go do it.
But also, Dan, to your point, like, I understand the schedule and favorable, winnable. The question for the Miami Dolphins moving forward is, can you protect them? Like, forget who the opponents are. Like, you could conceivably get wins against all of those teams. Max Crosby plays for the Raiders.
But don't forget, he gets the ball out basically faster than anybody in ball.
And he's the guy with 4 concussions in 2 years.
Man.
I'm just, bro.
No, I know.
I don't want to be negative about the situation, but the reality is we're talking about something that's beyond the norm.
Yeah.
It's beyond the norm to have that many in that period of time.
It is such a difficult conversation to have because of all the things.
Tua Tagovailoa could return this season. The Dolphins remain hopeful. The Miami Dolphins might have their star quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa, back this season. Head coach Mike McDaniel shared on Monday that Tagovailoa received good news from a neurologist, and they are hopeful to see him on the field in 2024 after suffering a concussion in Week 2 against the Buffalo Bills. I expect to see him playing football in 2024, McDaniel commented, adding that the quarterback is expected to receive further medical updates this week. This is the 3rd concussion Tagovailoa has suffered as a professional, raising concerns about his long-term health. Tagovailoa, 26, was placed on injured reserve after the hit he sustained on September 12. The Miami Herald reported that the player hasn't shown any persistent symptoms since then. Although the quarterback's return still depends on future evaluations, the earliest game he could participate in would be on October 27th against the Arizona Cardinals. Tagovailoa's injury occurred during a key play, a 4th-and-4 situation in the red zone, when the quarterback chose to run instead of sliding, colliding with Bills safety Damar Hamlin. The hit caused his head to strike Hamlin's arm, resulting in the concussion. Although the scene was reminiscent of a similar incident in 2022, when Tagovailoa had to be taken away in an ambulance after a hit, this time the quarterback was able to walk off the field on his own, bringing relief to the team. In the meantime, Tyler Huntley is expected to take on the starting role for the Dolphins, 2-3, in their upcoming matchup against the Indianapolis Colts, 3-3, as the team hopes to remain competitive in the absence of their offensive leader. Miami fans are crossing their fingers for their quarterback's quick return to guide the team through the second half of the season. For more news and updates on the Dolphins, follow our channel. And as always, feel free to share your opinions and thoughts in the comment section below.